Welcome to the Corporate Treasury 101 podcast. This is the third and last snippet of our amazing conversation with Agustin Mackinlay from Kantox. Agustin is a senior financial writer at Kantox, a former lecturer, and a fellow podcaster. He is a fount of knowledge, particularly when it comes to currency management, foreign exchange risk management, FX transactions, and much more. Hussam and I simply couldn't stop asking him questions, and we feel how Agustin is passionate when we listen to him. In the episode of today, expect to learn what Kantox does exactly and how. How do they integrate into the currency management process and cycle of a company? A use case based on a client Kantox has helped automating their currency management, and much more. When you think about how you discovered the podcast, it was probably through word of mouth, social media, or a recommendation from your favorite podcast app. And this is our ask to you. The only way people can keep on discovering our podcast and learn more about Treasury is thanks to you. So if you could follow the show, give us a review, or share the episode if you like it, it will mean the world to us. Last but not least, if you would like to learn more about AI and how it can transform our treasury industry, join our bi-weekly newsletter, AI Treasury Insight. Follow the link in the description or head to corporate-treasury-101.com/newsletter. With all that being said, please welcome Agustin Mackinlay.
Thanks so much, Augustine, for taking us through the whole trade life cycle as well. Just to start bringing things to a close, could you take us through in a little bit more detail what Kantox does and how they integrate into this whole process? You mentioned earlier about where you sit with the FX and the banks and the corporates. Could you give us an example of something that Kantox has implemented or done that sort of highlights what you guys do in that whole process?
Yes, of course. Yes, the case here would be the one with, say, a French company called Hussam and I. It's a mid-sized European pharmaceutical company in the specialty chemical area. Now, they happen to sell in emerging markets, and that creates a relation with what you just said, right? If they're based in France and the euro is their functional currency, in which they have their costs and in which they present their financial statements, it's a relatively strong currency as opposed to weaker currencies, say in Brazil, maybe in South Africa and Mexico. So that creates what we call the high cost of hedging, because remember, as those currencies are seen as riskier, when they hedge, they are going to get paid less in the forward markets than in the spot rate. So that creates a cost. And the way to handle this is to put in place an automated program that allows them to delay the execution of those hedges, right? And that requires, so from their part, to be able to gather all of their exposure to currency risk from subsidiaries, from headquarters, in a timely manner, in a complete manner. And this is done with the help of all of our solution, mostly Kantox dynamic hedging, which got to source that information from in this case, the treasury management system of Hussam and I, and is going to route that information to the multi-dealer trading platforms in a way that is already told. The information is gathered and processed in such a way that conditional orders are in place in order to delay the execution of hedges, to avoid that negative impact from interest rates. Remember that it sounds like just a one or two conditional orders, but it's going to take much more than that, because these forwards are executed, the exposure needs to be adjusted, and it needs to be very precise and automated. Now, the process also so the company has saved on those financial costs by delaying the execution of the hedges while still having the risk under active management, right? So their exposure to the currency risk under active management. So the risk is taken care of, even though hedge execution is delayed. They has also allowed the company to remove those time-consuming or resource-intensive and repetitive tasks performed by members of the treasury team, and this has allowed them to save on those costs. We'd like to think here in terms of risk, cost, and growth. And the growth aspect is where we lay more importance, right? Because think of what happens when you have all these processes in place, right? And you have most of them automated. And remember that we're keen to emphasize that automation removes tasks and not jobs. Why is that? Because now the treasury team of TFM has more time at their disposal to devote to value-adding tasks, such as scaling to more currency pairs if needed, right? To always be in a position to operate in the most convenient or most profitable currency, which they weren't, given the size of the treasury team, they were not able to do before the Kantox solution. So they decided to stick to a core group of currencies and leave the others untouched. But now, all of those time-consuming and resource-intensive aspects of manually executing those tasks are removed, and they have more time to devote to those value-adding tasks, especially. So thinking in terms of growth, of expansion, we really want to emphasize that part, because with currency risk under management, you will be in a position to confidently tackle your markets and pocket sometimes those markups that are charged by clients when they don't use their own currencies, or you're able to remove also those FX markups when you buy, and you end up also selling dearer and buying cheaper. So protecting and enhancing your profit margins. So all of this is what we do, and all day long we analyze situations with companies. Remember that their pricing characteristics is maybe the one defining aspects of how we're going to interact with them and what type of program we're going to propose.
We like to get into the nitty-gritty details of integration and implementation. What are the tools and system you actually integrate with? You said you were streamlining the process of this exposure gathering and processing and interfacing directly with the FX dealers. But on the corporate side, are you linking to the ERP then, where the AP and AR are populated and therefore the exposure gathered? Or is it the TMS? Where does Kantox fit into this?
Yes, absolutely. Look, this is, of course, a key point, right? It's got to depend on the different nature of the exposure that you want to manage. So most of the times the forecasts are going to sit in company spreadsheets. The firm sales orders are going to be at your disposal on the ERP of the company. Perhaps these invoices are going to sit on the treasury management system. So you need what is called software to software interfaces that allow the systems to communicate with one another. And they're called application programming interfaces. Absolutely key piece of technology that is, of course, powering all of our solutions, because that's what enables those systems to communicate with each other. It's very important when you have, for example, combinations of hedging programs. You want to hedge your budgeted exposure, yes. Perhaps you got to take one big trade at the start and put conditional orders on the rest of the exposure. But you want to also hedge the incoming firm sales orders. That's a fantastic combination that allows you to hedge those firm sales orders as they materialize. And the minute they materialize, you adjust the rest of the exposure. So you end up almost now completely forgetting about the risk of overhedging. But this must be done with these technology solutions, these application programming interfaces that are so vital, but not only in hedging, right? They are very important in pricing as well, right? Because when the treasury team, the commercial team, they require their FX rate. Remember, they could be the spot or the forward rates. They could have markups per client segment and per currency pair. This information is transmitted to them also through application programming interfaces. And last but not least, it also is used in the post-trade phases, right? As you want to be able to have what we call traceability. You want to have a system that allows you to trace all the individual small hedges back to the forecasted exposure, right? Because you need to make the necessary adjustments, or you need to perform the accounting tasks that correspond. And again, here, as in reporting, so those APIs play a key role. It's definitely the most important piece of technology that, again, allows systems to communicate, to talk to each other in a way that makes that seamless integration possible. Otherwise, of course, it wouldn't be possible. We would still have fragmented different process of automation in different phases of the workflow.
Very clear. Augustin, to wrap up, I think this was an absolute masterclass in currency management overall and risk management. So thank you so much. I'm sure our listeners got a lot out of it. If you could summarize, just to finish the episode, currency risk management in one key lesson for new treasurers out there, or for people getting into this topic, how would you just summarize into one key lesson?
Right, I would use
management.
Yes, Hussam, I would use two words: embrace currencies. Yeah, that's our key motto here. Beyond all the technicalities, application programming interfaces, spots and the forwards, the interest rate differentials, exposure gathering, and trade execution, it doesn't. It pales in comparison with the importance of the business side of automation, right? It's about growth, about trying to capture those growth opportunities to protect and enhance your competitive position, to maybe get the chance to improve your profit margins, to raise the sales to assets ratio, and to make a contribution towards enhancing the value of the firm, because ultimately that's the task of treasury team. So I would summarize in these two words: embrace currencies with confidence if you're able to manage the process in its entirety.
That's great. And just to finish, where can people go to know more about you, Kantox, CurrencyCast? Where should they go to find out more?
Right. The best way is to go through our website, so kantox.com, and there you will find all the material, or the possibilities to have a conversation with our currency management specialists, and also to have access to lots of different materials, and of course to CurrencyCast.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes below. Augustin, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks you. It was really a pleasure to be with you, and we'll see you next time.